Made in Portugal is the go-to podcast brought to you by Raquel Batista of Lighthouse Consulting for entrepreneurs and business leaders looking to thrive in the Portuguese market. So whether you're navigating complex regulations, overcoming cultural differences, or adapting your business strategy to local demands, we've got you covered. Join us as we share expert insights, real-life success stories, and practical tips to help you turn challenges into opportunities. Hi everybody, and welcome to another video for my YouTube channel. And I am very pleased to be here with Deborah Dahab. Now, she was one of the first partners that I had since I started Lighthouse, and it was very funny how we connected because I don't even remember how we did it, but we did it right from the start. And estás a ver? Estou a bater com o microfone. I don't even remember how we connected, the both of us, but there was like an instant click. And ever since then, we've been connected, and we've tried to do things together. Of course, life gets in the way. We don't always get to do things. But most of all, I do believe that the services that Deborah has are very, very important to anyone coming or thinking of coming here to Portugal. And I think it's a completely different view from the traditional relocation company, visa company, whatever it is. This has nothing to do with it. This is a more profound way to look at it. And it's a lot of times the view that people disconsider, and it's the most important one of all. It can blow the whole experience over. So, Deborah, talk to us a little bit about your services, what do you do, and why it's so important.
Okay. So thank you so much for this kind introduction. I do remember the first time we spoke, and
My
you had
memory's
just had
gone.
you had just had your youngest.
See?
She was in the call with us, so I remember that. So to explain what I do, I kind of need to explain why I do what I do. Okay. Imagine that you need to move abroad, and it's kind of like decluttering your house or organizing your house. There's so many different tasks. You have to learn a new language. You have to decide what to pack and what to leave behind. You have to learn how to adjust. You have to say your goodbyes. So if some people hire a personal organizer, I'm the personal organizer of a move and a life. Okay. So it includes the practical aspects, and it includes the more mindset. I learned the hard way. So I've
Yeah.
lived abroad many times. I started when I was 1 year old. The last time I moved, I was 40. I've lived in 6 different countries. And I made many mistakes. And what really triggered this discovery, because I didn't used to do this. I used to be a marketing executive. I have an MBA. And the first time I moved to Portugal in 2001, it was really difficult. And after 5 years trying to make it work, I gave up and I left. So you can't even say, oh, I knew the language, I had family here. So, all the boxes were checked, but it
Check.
still
Yeah.
didn't work out. So I find myself in Portugal again, this time for personal reasons, to get married to my husband. So I needed to understand what had gone wrong the first time, and how I could do better and how I could not make the same mistakes. That's when I quite literally got an education. I went back to school and I got a master's in intercultural psychology, and it blew my mind. It was, like I learned so much, things that I had lived and processes that I had gone through. And having a business background, I had a business sense that if this is helping me so much, maybe I can help other people, right? So I got a coaching certification, NLP certification, trainer certification, because I really wanted to make sure I had all the tools to help people. And I started working
Yeah.
one-on-one, as most coaches do. Then I went to group coaching because I wanted to serve more people. I started working just with people in Portugal. Then the pandemic happened and I went global and digital, like most people did at that time. And last year I launched the Expat Journey program, which is the culmination of all of my knowledge, all of my research, all of my experience, and having worked with people in one resource. So when I say that's like, there are so many moving, this sounds cliche, but there's so many moving parts in a move abroad.
So,
um, learning a new language, saying your goodbyes, deciding what to pack and what to leave behind, deciding where to live, going on scouting trips, researching, um, um, so many aspects related to mindset, like the overwhelm, how to get things done, how to get involved, family involved, how to prepare kids, how to plan financially. They're just every single aspect of your life changes when you move and live abroad. So um, in this membership, there is a complete pre-move and post-move roadmap, because one of the biggest mistakes, Raquel, is that people focus on the move. I want to move, I want to move, I want to move. But really, no one wants to move abroad. Who will in their right mind wants to move? It's a hassle. What we do want, we want to live abroad.
yeah.
It's kind of
You
like
don't want
saying,
you don't want the move. You just want
exactly. If you could avoid
wrap your
it, you
fingers
would, right? It's just something that you have to go through to get to the other side. It's
to
kind of like
get to.
crossing a bridge. You don't say, I want to cross the bridge. Well, some people might, but normally we don't say that. You want to say, I want to get to the other side. And what happens is when people keep focusing on crossing the bridge, crossing the bridge, crossing the bridge, they forget that there's a life on the other side. And
True.
after you get to your destination, what happened during that bridge crossing is almost irrelevant. So people
Yeah.
get so focused on, of course, you do need visas and you do need taxes and financials, and that's included also in the membership. But it's preparing and creating a foundation so that move is smoother, less stressful, more mindful, and then your life abroad is what you want to create. Because when I started my business, and I have a business background, the first thing I did was market research. That's the first thing I did, because I say, well, just because it was useful for me, does it mean it's going to be helpful for other people, right? So I went and talked to, well, first, in my master's, I talked to people in focus groups and questionnaires, because I worked on acculturation strategies of international retired migrants in Portugal. Okay, that was the topic of my dissertation. So part of my education was talking to people and listening to them. And then when I decided to create my business, I did even more research, now not academically focused, but market focused. And the challenges were very, very similar to my own, even, you know, um, lack of feeling isolated, and, having a hard time making friends, feeling frustrated with lack of communication, and overwhelmed with, and people would say bureaucracy, but it wasn't only that. That was like the surface level of what they said. It was everything in between, because you feel overwhelmed with bureaucracy when you don't speak of the language and you don't have a support system, right? That's when you feel extra overwhelmed. Um, so, and then I did more market research with reports, like, what does expat success looks like? What is expat failure? And I came across a report from PricewaterhouseCoopers that was published on the HR Review magazine. And it said that on average, up to 40% of international assignments in corporate settings fail. And in that context, failure means the employee was supposed to stay 4 years, they went back before that time. Okay. And I was thinking to myself, like, okay, and so it's very hard to get data on self-initiated expats or self-initiated immigrants, meaning people who decide on their own, they're not affiliated to a company or to an institution, because it's hard to get data on that. But I was thinking, like, if you have a company that is giving you support, that is probably giving you perks, right?
Yeah.
Because when we move
Handling a
abroad,
lot of things for you. Yeah.
handling a lot of things for you. Um, you're going to a company which the corporate culture you already know
There's
most of the time,
familiarity there.
right?
Yeah.
If in that case it's up to 40%, imagine how hard or how worse it probably
Yeah.
is with self-initiated expats. And that same report said that each failed, quote unquote, failed employee or expat, it cost the company on average $300,000.
Jesus.
So, and then when we fail, and I failed the first time I lived in Portugal, right? Um, it's it's our own money. And that 40% or up to 40% doesn't even account for people who chug along. They're unhappy,
Mm.
they're underperforming, but they just chug along because maybe they can't or they won't or whatever reason they just don't give up or
Yeah.
quit that assignment, but they're underperforming and they're unhappy. That number doesn't even account for that. So that's when I said, okay, I can bring this to the table because um, it's not only about preparing the logistics and shipping. Yes, of course, that's important. But that's why inside our membership, inside the Expat Journey program, we have all the how to's: how to learn a new language, how to plan financially, how to research cost of living, how to make friends abroad, how to integrate, how to understand typical phases of adjustment, how to decide what to pack and what to leave behind, how to say goodbyes, how to, from everything, how to decide if moving abroad is for you. Like that's actually the the first step zero is like, how do I make this decision? And not just a
And because
nerd.
there's a lot of people that are running from something, but then they forget that they're running towards somewhere. And then when they're there, they're not running away from anything anymore. And it's not a good justification or
Totally,
foundation to move is running away from something because you'll never
totally,
be satisfied, right?
totally. I like to create this visual, like this, do this analogy because I think it helps people think. Like when you are moving abroad to get away from something, and believe you me, I know we want to get away from things, and that's part of the
Yeah.
equation. Okay, I'm not dismissing it. I'm not, it's totally valid to go away from something. But when you only focus on that, it's like driving a car and looking all the time at the rear view mirror.
Rearview mirror. Yeah. Good image.
So
That's
you,
exactly it.
when you drive, you have to look at both. You have to
Yeah.
know where you're going. You have to have a plan. You also have to look at the rear view mirror, right, to see the other cars that are coming. But if you're only looking at the rear view mirror, you're going to crash your car. I can guarantee you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think this visual really shows how important it is to look at the two sides of the equation, to look at why you want to move, which typically is what you want to release or get away from, or that's important. But equally important, and in the long run, more important, is what are you moving for?
Mhm.
What is the purpose of the move? What do you want to build? Who do you want to be? How do you want to feel?
Yeah.
What do you want to experience? How do you want your life to be like? What do you want your routine to be like? What kind of people do you want to be around? And at some point, what happened before, is it almost
Uh,
irrelevant?
yeah. And then there's also the cultural sides and all of the adaptation and stuff. And this is something that I also see with business when people create companies
Uh-huh.
is a lot of people just want to just have like an idea. Okay,
Yeah.
I want to create a company. But then like you, they don't look at the overall picture that equates having a company. It's bureaucracy, it's management, it's accounting, it's a lot of different things. It's not just, oh, I have a company. It's not just that. So
Yeah.
people need to consider that there's a lot of
Yeah,
things that
exactly.
entail having a company. And one of those things is exactly what you pointed out now, is purpose.
Hmm.
Purpose and success. Like, what is exactly your purpose when you're creating a company?
Hmm.
You have to really define, or at least you have to have an idea what it's for, because I've seen clients open up companies and then they like fade away because they don't think about the future and exactly how that piece of the puzzle will be built on or integrated into the overall picture. So
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. It's and and when you think of the purpose, because the when I opened my company, for example, um, one of my purposes was I I was had enough of the corporate life.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to do, actually, when I moved to Portugal, I left the corporate life. I used to work at, I used to be a marketing executive in multinationals. And I said, you know what? I want to have more flexibility because
Yeah.
because I want to build a family. And I knew that in the corporate life that was be hard. That would be very difficult. It's not impossible sometimes. So, but then, there are trade-offs. And both in life abroad, when you move abroad and live abroad, and when you build your company, there are trade offs. So, on the one hand, I have more flexibility. On the other hand, we tend to work a lot more because,
More hours. People have no idea how many
yeah.
hours an entrepreneur works.
And then,
It's a
it's,
lot more than 9 to 5, a
oh
lot
my
more.
God. And then you're never completely on vacation. Like I
Off. You're
remember
never completely off. Yeah.
when I was employee, I had two phones. I had two phones. One for the phone, the company gave me, and I had my personal phone. During my vacation, I turned off my company phone.
Yeah.
And, my boss had my personal phone in case there was like a huge emergency. But thank God she was considerate enough not to use it. But um, I would forget about work. And when you're
Yeah.
an entrepreneur, there's no such thing.
There's no
There
forgetting
is
about work because
there's
it's
no
it's
forgetting
you.
about
It's
work.
your
Yeah.
life. Yeah.
And you
It's
have
your
to pay
life.
bills, and you have to, you can take your computer and slow down, but you still have to be present. And if there's a
And it's
problem,
all on you. It's all on you
exactly.
because when you're in the corporate world, this is a lot of what I felt when I became an entrepreneur. It's all on you. So it's all the responsibility on you to organize everything, to like marketing and admin and accounting, and everything is on you, which is completely different than having a specific position in a department, a specific function where you just focus on that function. You don't think about anything
Yep,
else. And when you're an entrepreneur, there's like 1,000 things that you have no idea how to do because you've never done them in your life. And
totally.
so that's also a bit of the training that I do when I create a company, and that has a very parallel, like when you do like a training for people that are coming over, because they have it's not even possible to foresee everything that they will
Hmm.
encounter. And it's like I cannot imagine like even moving rooms, let alone moving continents or to another country. And people do not foresee everything that they will have to decide upon, talk about, and face. And it's exactly the same as in companies. People have to be given a full map of everything that entails creating a company, having a business in Portugal, even the cultural aspects of having a business.
Totally.
And
Yeah.
exactly as in a move, you have to know, you have to have someone. If there is a time in your life to hire someone to organize and to think things through for you, it's now. It's when you're moving, because nothing could be more important. It's like one of the few traumas in life, whether positive or negative, is like marriage and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
birth of child and then
Life-changing
moving.
moments. Yeah.
So there's almost no more important time to hire someone to help you than when you decide to move. And I see a lot of people trying to wing it, and I have no idea why they do that, because it's so, again, so many different moving parts. and it could go so much smoother because people will already have issues on their own. So even just deciding is
Hmm.
difficult enough.
Oh
But
yeah.
when you don't even know what you have to decide, I mean, that is completely crazy. And so to have someone like you that will prepare them with time and, a professional, I always say, have professional people by your side. That's like my
Yeah. Yeah.
tagline. If you have someone hand holding you and talking you through all the process, so there's no surprises, so everything that will come up, there will always be surprises, but everything can be smoother, and there's no stoppers in between the
Hmm.
way. It's
Hmm.
very, very important, and I cannot stress enough, this is the time to have a professional by your side. So this is the time to subscribe to your program, to see, how easier it can be if you have a professional by your side, because it's like the Portuguese saying, cada macaco no seu galho, right? And you
Yeah.
understand Portuguese.
Yeah.
It's like
Everyone
you're
for
good at,
themselves. Yeah.
each one of us have specific things where we are really good at, but we should keep to that. Okay.
Yeah.
With this, and it's something so specific, not a lot of people have this background and training that can help someone 360 like you do. So it's
Yeah.
very important to
Yeah.
just uh, uh, delegate this part to someone that knows the full picture, has
Yeah.
experience, has been through the experience themselves, and it's the best professional to have by your side.
Yeah.
And I wanted to also know how your program is going.
Well, the program is going very well. We launched about less than a year ago, and I've learned a lot because it's a new way of doing things, the membership. But I'm really happy that we were able to create a one in all resource. So,
Mm-hmm.
the members have the roadmaps, the pre-move and post-move, so they know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. It's a no-brainer. Like if they follow the steps, we have planners, we have lots of resources. Then there's the community component because we have live calls
Mm-hmm.
together, we have workshops together. So it's very rich. Moving abroad, the process of moving and even living abroad can be quite lonely because your original friends don't know what you're going through. It's hard for them to interact and
To
help. There's so many
relate. Yeah.
decisions, so many important life-changing decisions in a small amount of time. So exchanging with other people is very important and valuable. Then we have like you were saying, the professional, or being well conducted or well coordinated with a professional. So we have a curated directory of service providers that provide services for visa application, for shipping, for pet transportation, career coaching. You are there as well. People
Creating companies and
kind of creating
businesses.
companies. Exactly. We have scouting trip businesses. We have over 40 businesses currently, and every month we add more. And it's not only for Portugal. So people who are,
Yeah,
even in
that's
the
very important.
decision making process, like, is Portugal the best place? Sometimes people are between Portugal and Spain, or Portugal and Italy. You have access to many different. We have relocation agents that work with France, with Spain, with Italy, with Austria, with Denmark, with Netherlands. So, and it's expanding because the idea is to be truly global, because all of these challenges, it really doesn't matter
Will be
almost to where you're
there.
going. Yeah. And then it's everything in one place, so you don't need anything else to plan your move abroad because you have everything there. Tax
and,
specialists, financial planners, it's there.
and people can reach out to you if there's a specific question, if there's a specific doubt. How does that work within the program? Like, are
Hmm.
there weekly meetups or meetings or like clinic calls? How do you like sort through the troubleshooting,
Yeah,
specific troubleshooting of some people?
that's a great question. So we have live Q&A calls. We have live workshops where it's a chance to really get things done. We have orientation calls because there's so much inside the membership. And the orientation call is a great way to help people navigate the membership. We also have a private Facebook group, so I'm also available there if people can reach out. And people can always send an email to support@expatjourneyprogram.com and ask a question if they need to. So there are many different ways to get a one-on-one. There's also an opportunity to book a one-on-one with me inside the membership. Now it's this part because it's individual, it's not included in the membership,
Of course.
but it's a very affordable price for members. So many times people get a little bit stuck or they're in a pivotal moment and they need one-on-one support, and they can just book a call with me and get that support right away, almost right away, like in a very short amount of time.
And
So there are
it's
plenty
good
of
that you
ways.
can adapt to different people, the different hand holding types for different clients. People, some of them want more detailed things. Some are more like, okay, let's just go and let's just do this. And they don't ask that much. And then there's the fearful people that are like afraid of the
Yeah,
air, and we'll need a lot
yeah,
more hand holding. And so it is important that you have space for all types of different uh, need of
yeah.
helps available. So it's very important. And would you say, I mean, I'm always talking about the cultural side of things here
Mm-hmm.
also in Portugal, because that's, to me, that's like the funny part. It When it comes to business, a lot of people think that there's not that much difference. There's humongous differences that a lot of times can make or break a business. And with something so simple as an invoice.
Mm,
Sometimes I have clients from the US to say, "Oh no, I'm writing invoices and that's fine." And I'm like, "How are you writing invoices? I'm sure you are not writing invoices because there's a specific software program, etc., etc." So, uh, do you feel that the cultural component or the cultural shock um, specific to Portugal plays a huge role? Because, for instance, in terms of speed of things, and if we're talking people from the US, I mean, it's a crazy difference, right? In the
mm,
way of doing things, in
mm-hmm,
approaching things,
mm-hmm.
uh, everything. So, how do you handle that much of a gap in terms of cultural things?
You mean me personally?
No,
Or
no. I mean your clients.
I
You,
could
I
tell you.
think you have a feet in foot in everywhere.
Yeah, well, I do. There's the pace that you mentioned, right? That it's different pace. But what I hear that people get most frustrated with is the communication styles that are different. Okay,
Mm,
so in the U.S. and many Anglo-Saxon countries, the communication is what we call low context. So it's very straightforward, very
yeah.
assertive,
To the
straight to
point.
the point. Sometimes, depending on the situation, transactional. Okay, you have a question, you send an email, boom. In Portugal and many other Southern European countries in Latin America have this characteristic as well. It's more about the relationship than the transaction. So, for example, if you approach someone and do not say "Bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite," you're being extremely rude.
Yeah.
But
It's
for
like, what's
people,
up with you?
yeah, so yeah, and people are going to treat you probably in a more brisk way, even
Standoffish, yeah.
unconsciously, because you're being rude. You can't just say, if you go to a store and say, "Hi, could I please have this?" which would be normal in some places, it's extremely rude here.
We would
Uh,
say, "Good morning.
yes, good
Hi, how are
morning.
you?
Exactly,
Now, how can I serve you?"
exactly. So there's a recognition of the relationship between two people. It's not just about the coffee that you're going to get.
Yeah.
It's about the relationship between the supplier and the client. You know what I mean? So this means that um, the direct communication here doesn't pan well, right?
Yeah.
So, and then people feel that they're being rude at, or like people are being rude at them, probably
And
are,
they don't
maybe
know
even
why.
unconsciously, and they don't know why. So that's one thing that I hear a lot. And I suffered from this as well, because in Brazil, we don't say bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite. We say oi, tudo bem. That's our way of
But you do
acknowledging.
that.
Yeah, but here it's not enough. It has to be bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite.
Yeah.
Oi, tudo bem, it doesn't cut it here. The other aspect is um, Portugal, Spain to a lesser extent in my experience, but Latin America are very bad saying no. Or
Mm,
in Portugal, if you approach someone or send an email, they will only, in general terms, of course, they will only answer you when they have an answer, when they have a response. It's very rare for
that is
someone in
so
Portugal
funny.
to say, "Hi, okay, I got your email. I will send you an update as soon as I have it, as soon as I can, or whatever," to acknowledge that they received the email. Um,
True.
and this is very annoying to direct communication people, because like it's for them, it's like I sent an email and nothing happened.
Yeah, I have so many clients that say that to me. Like, not to me, thank God. I mean, that's the thing that I think I differentiate. And people ask me all the time if I'm Portuguese because they don't understand
Hmm.
how I don't have the service level of Portuguese companies or Portuguese people. Legit
I
ask
got
me,
it.
why do people not answer emails? Like,
Yeah,
what is up with that?
yeah.
And
I'll explain it to you. I can explain that to you. You want me to explain? I can
please
explain that.
do.
Yeah. So for the Portuguese, the non-answer is um, reducing their sense of capability or competence.
It's a failure.
It's a failure, exactly. So saying that you don't have an answer is
It's
something that,
acknowledging that you're
exactly, it's like,
failing.
yeah, so I'm only going to respond when I have something to say.
Yeah.
That's their logic. Okay, I
Yeah.
will, and all of this, of course, is unconscious. Okay, nothing of, it's not conscious. People don't do this consciously. Most, I don't think so. So these differences in communication styles can be very annoying. And what I tell people is like, look, because it's a relationship based society, instead of using email, it's important to use more personal means of communication. So if you send an email once or twice and don't get an answer, pick up the phone,
Yeah.
talk to the person, send a WhatsApp. Um,
Go there if there's
go there,
offices or
exactly. I had this with my bank. I had to fill out a form. I didn't know how to fill out the form that I needed for the bank, and I sent, I think, 3 emails to my bank manager, and
don't get
like
me started
crickets,
about banks. Don't
crickets,
get me started
crickets.
about banks.
And you know what I did? I went there and I put on, loads of patience because I knew I would need it. And
It's a good patience training that you
yeah,
start having
and
here, right?
and then I went there. I knew it was the middle of the day for me because banks close early. But okay, I knew I had to do it because I had to get it done. I sucked it up, and as I went there with a smile on my face, olá, tudo bem? Quanto tempo? Bom dia, blá, 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 blá. Olha, precisava muito. Really need your help on this. Could you
Yeah,
please
that's
help me with
key.
this? I'm really, and then you know what he did? He stopped whatever he was doing and he filled out the form with me online,
Yeah.
and I got it done. So you kind of have to understand how things, and that was important for me. So I took, 2 hours off my afternoon because I needed to
But
get
you
that
got it
done.
done.
But I got it
Yeah.
done, and I got it done, and I didn't stress that much out. I didn't get annoyed, put a smile on my face and ask for help. So these differences in communication are like the biggest complaint, even if it's not explicit. I think it's one of the things that make people very frustrated. Believe you me, I get frustrated too, with like plumbers and people who need to do stuff around your house and get go there and measure everything, and then 3 years later you're still waiting for a quote. um,
I mean, I realize that now because since I'm Portuguese, I've always lived here. We've kind of grown accustomed to, we don't notice,
yeah,
anymore those things. Those are, things. It's just like that. We
yeah.
just think it's like
It's
that.
like asking a
And
fish what water is. You don't know.
exactly. And so when I see that a lot of times those, comments, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
But there's stuff that we just get accustomed to. It's our way of doing things. But
yeah,
I see the clash. I see the clash.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
So it's just a matter of and when many of the members say get annoyed with like the slower pace of life, and then I kind of ask them, well, what was one of the reasons or one of the purposes that you moved was to get a less stressful life, right? So yeah, it's like,
it
well,
usually is, but
it's
usually it is what they most
yeah, and then I say,
the
well, it's the slower pace of life is not just for you, it's for everyone.
yeah.
So you can't just
Exactly.
pick and choose when you want it fast or when you want it slow. It is what it is.
Oh, okay. So, wrapping things up, unfortunately, I mean, we would could be here all day long, and
For
there's
sure.
so much to unpack. I want to give a little surprise to everybody listening. And Deborah, go ahead, please.
Yes. I have a special offer for your viewers and
Yeah,
listeners. So I have a special trial for the Expat Journey program. I'm going to send you the link and you can share with everyone
that is so
that
cool.
people can try the Expat Journey program for 14 days for only €3. That's it.
Wow,
If they love it, they stay. And if they don't like it, no questions asked, they cancel and it's all good.
wow,
So you can really experience for 2 full weeks the membership, see if it's for you, see if it resonates, um, and join the live calls, participate, do
wow.
everything, complete access, 100% access to everything for 14 days for only €3.
Wow, fantastic. I mean, I think that's like the most anything anyone can can ask for. Thank you so much, Deborah. We will have the links to uh, we will have the link for this offer, for this very kind offer from Deborah. So don't worry about it. But I would say take advantage of this because again, this is going to be one of the most fundamental things in this journey. Deborah, I cannot thank you enough. This has been a long time coming.
Yes,
I'm really sorry that it took so long, but we're finally here. We
we're
did
here.
this. I'm very proud. And thank you so much for being alongside me with in this journey also, not only in business but being a woman entrepreneur. So we have a lot of things in common and we have a lot of things that we talk about. So thank you so much for
My
sharing your
pleasure.
program. And I hope that it grows and grows and grows and that I mean, I'm already see you are very successful, but I hope that I can bring some of my clients on board with you as well. So everybody, you have to take this opportunity, okay, to test drive this. And I'm pretty sure that once you have a taste of it, you will be surrendered to it. So thank you so much for that offer, Deborah. And thank you so much, everybody, for listening and tuning in, and keep listening to us because there's a lot of things coming. And thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank you so
Deborah.
much. Bye bye.